Hello, my friends. It's Andy Falco Jimenez coming to you live from Yorba Linda, California, in the PYL School District. This show is called Vote PYL Vote PYL Vote. And again, since this is a fairly new show, and there's still maybe some people that are coming for the first time, the PYL stands for Placentia Yorba Linda, but there's a little bit of a more to it than just those two cities. The PYL area, which also is part of the PYLUSD, also involves the cities of Fullerton, Anaheim, and Brea, because we're talking about the school district. I was explaining to somebody that was asking about it the other day, is that we have a lot of things in this area that involve that acronym of PYL that also includes like little leagues and other sports. I think even the lacrosse team that used to be in Yorba Linda involved, essentially the area of Placentia, Yorba Linda, Fullerton, Anaheim, and Brea. And so it's fairly well understood that these are the cities that we're talking about. And again, this is a new show that we're going to be talking about the issues that you need to know about if you live in that area, even if you live in Fullerton. But if your children go to school, or the children in your area go to school within that part of Fullerton or Anaheim or Brea, this show will interest you, I am sure, at some point, if not on every show that we're going to be addressing. I'm going to answer this question: that why should somebody that does not have kids, or somebody who has kids that are grown and out of the house, that live in the area that's essentially the PYL area, why would you care about what happens at the school district or what happens in those areas? It is because what happens in our school district is at some point going to affect you. The kids that go to these schools graduate because this area is so beloved, and people tend to really love this area because of just how it's different than the rest of California for the most part, that we have so much available to us here, that we're kind of in the middle between the mountains and the beaches and, Irvine Spectrum. We got Brea Mall. We got, what else do we have? We just, the downtown Fullerton area. There is a lot here, and we have the universities that are close by. We got UCI, and you got Cal State Fullerton, and then of course Fullerton JC, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So this area tends to keep the people that live in this area and grow up in this area. And whatever graduates out of the now what's looking like a declining school district in the PYLUSD is going to affect us all. It used to be an award-winning school district. It used to be a high standard where the grades maintained a high level of accomplishment, but they are now being reduced because apparently many of the teachers are getting pushed out by just a few woke teachers that have essentially stopped educating and gone strictly to indoctrination. And we have to lower the grading standards so more people can graduate, and so more people can get on the honor roll, so more people can give the appearance of being educated when in fact they are not. So we have a sad set of circumstances, not just, of course, in the PYLUSD. I'm also simulcasting on the California Parent Alliance, which is in the entire state of California. I will be speaking at an event coming up out there, up near the Simi Valley, Westlake Village area of the Ventura and northern LA County areas, where I'll be speaking at an event where we're going to be addressing some of these things that are happening in the school districts here in Southern California. So I know that it's just not the Placentia Yorba Linda Unified School District, but it's just the entire state of California, which is in trouble in regard to education. Too many laws that are being passed in Sacramento. Some of these school districts, including guys, hey, Shar, nice to see you, they're just bending over to what it is that Sacramento says. Now, I know there's people that are saying, well, you have to do what Sacramento says. You have to do what the federal government says. We're finding that their best interest, they're not in what's happening in actual cities and communities. They really don't care what parents think. They're shutting parents out in the discussion when it has to do with Reproduction. They're cutting parents out when it has to do with children who are confused by social media and by their teachers and by coaches who tell them, "Hey, I know that you were born a boy, but you're probably a girl, so you should start acting like one." And so the parents are being pushed out of decision making when it comes to operations and procedures that will alter children for the rest of their life, damaging their life forever, increasing the chances that they will go and will choose suicide or narcotics for their woes, because they have been pushed to a place where parents were not involved, but coaches and teachers and librarians decided that it was their child, not the parents' child, and they decided, you know what? Don't listen to your parents. Don't listen to what they have to say. Families are overrated. The nuclear family just needs to stop existing. Listen to me. I'm a librarian with green hair and a pierced eyebrow, so I obviously know what's better for you. And so that's what that's what we're going to be addressing. I had no intention to go there, but I'm going to share you with some things. And the reason I'm so fired up is because there's just been so much happening in the news, and our education should not be about any of those things. That's the problem. If a parent at home wants to talk about, hey, you know what, you should color your hair green and you should lop off whatever it is you have on your body to turn into something else. Back in the day, as a police officer, I would have arrested that person for child abuse or child exploitation. But now apparently it's okay for teachers, librarians, and coaches to do it. Parents don't have any involvement, but hey, who am I? I'm just a former law enforcement officer who was in sex crimes for several years, investigating these cases and prosecuting people who did this to children. Now, apparently it's okay. But if a parent does it, it's bad, whatever it is. So let me just show you, I'm going to share with you some of the things that are going on in school. And then I'm going to get to the good news that's coming up here. And here I'm going to share this to the screen here. And these are some of the things. This is at Kramer Middle School. So if you are a parent, and I talked to a few parents who said, you know what, I've heard that this thing was happening, but I never believed it. I didn't think this was really going on because, of course, their kids don't come home and tell them about it. They just hear that there's these crazy parents showing up at the school board meetings who's lost their mind, and they're trying to stop our kids from being educated, and they're pushing the, real U.S. history, which is horrible. They're pushing, that everybody should be treated equally, which is horrible, apparently. Changing your sex is horrible. Apparently, that's horrible to say. And so these people that don't get involved in the school board, they believe that when their kids come home and say, don't believe what you're hearing. Everything's all right at schools. And they see these images, because I've shared these images, but they go, no way, that's not really happening. And no, here it is again. It's really happening. This is the window there. I'm going to show you a better picture of it. But this is Kramer Middle School. You've got LGBTQ flags flying in the windows of teachers' school rooms. You got the definition of gender fluid on a teacher's window that faces outward. So every child that goes by, regardless if you're in her class or not, or his class, whatever it is, I don't know. You have the image of a transgender character in iReady, which every child goes through to I don't know what was happening, because the kids aren't learning reading and math effectively. They sell it as a reading and math program, but no kids are really learning reading and math and spelling in iReady. It's an indoctrination tool, because here is an example. That's one of the characters in the iReady, and so on and so forth, in a rainbow coloring contest. Clearly LGBTQ, because the color purple's in there. Purple is not in a rainbow, but it is in the logo for transgender stuff, whatever that is, whatever the word is. And here is one, and it actually is supposed to say the blow up. There's a typo. The blow up character is a character from iReady. The online programs must go. This is from a parent. And then somebody's asking, what's a blow character? It's a blow up character. Here's in one of the urine. This is from El Dorado, I think, actually. This is a picture that was sent to me from a parent, from their kid's phone, where okay, I'm going to bring this up. So some people could look at that and they'll say, how horrible that children in high school are throwing the rainbow flags, or I don't even know what you call them, LGBTQ flags plus whatever. You have both sides, right? You have one side who says, it's horrible that they threw these flags in urinals and it's disgusting. And I can't believe that you think that that's funny that they're doing that. And then you have the other side that says, these things don't belong in our school. We're going to put them in the toilet. We're going to take a picture of it and show you how horrible it is. Let's just go with that. Both of them are right or both of them are wrong. It doesn't matter. The problem is it's causing division in our schools where it doesn't belong. We don't need to be discussing this stuff in our schools. They already know what's happening. They already have it on their social media. It's already being put into movies that Disney is showing. It's showing, transgender characters in cartoons now for the Disney Channel and in the Disney movies coming up. We don't need it in our schools, causing the division. It's like calling one group of people oppressors and the other group of people oppressed. That if you bring that into the schools and the teachers say, okay, those of you on the right side that I've divided you up into who appear to be white children, and those of you on the left who I've broken up into what are typically called minorities. On the right, we have oppressors. On the left, we have oppressed. Now, again, this is not what I have paid for through my tax or expect for my children to be taught in school. That is nonsense. That is just unadulterated nonsense in a country that is the least racist country on the planet. Apparently, some of these teachers do not get out into the world and have never gone to another country and actually see what a racist country is like or a divided country is like, or they've not been to a country that's communist. I've been to communist countries. I've been to places that have just are slowly evolving out of communism. And I visited there and it's a completely different environment. Look at the basketball player who decided that she was going to take pot to a communist country. What did she go? What happened to her? She's in prison for 10 years or something like that. I forget what it is because she smoked or had pot. She wasn't even smoking it. It was in her luggage. That's a communist country. And that's what happens when you go to a communist country and you are an American, one of the freest countries in the world, who has done nothing but abolish slavery since its beginning. I know you guys don't believe it, but I'm telling you, this country has continually worked toward the abolition of slavery back in the day until it was finally abolished. And then we worked through some of the issues in regard to racism, but it's always been continually working on it and not really gone back. Now, there's few factions who want to keep it, that kind of stuff, but that happens with every country. But you have now in a school that should be teaching reading, writing, counting, and how to think, indoctrinating them to believe that half the school or more is oppressors and the other part of the school are oppressed. And they have to go through life understanding that they belong in one of these groups. That is wrong. And that does not belong in our schools. And that is what we need to fight against. And so when I bring up and show you this picture of this toilet with the flags in it, this is you're creating division, you're creating animosity, you're creating these opportunities for people to say, you know what, or children to say, I'm tired of this crap. This doesn't belong in our schools. Why are you doing this to us? Would they want, and I'm going to propose this for next year, this year coming up, is if you're going to have a Pride Month for LGBTQ, then we need to also have an American Pride Month. We need to have a Make America Great Again Pride Month. We need to have Make Law Enforcement Great Again or Law Enforcement Pride Month. How about First Responder Pride Month? How about Parents Pride Month? Those need to be in our month in our schools too, in order to show that the majority of people hold pride in those things. A majority of people don't hold a pride in these few things, these issues that have to do with LGBTQ. We don't care. I don't care. I had an aunt growing up. I'm 60 years old. So since as long as I remember, since I was born, I had an aunt who was gay and was with another woman my entire life. And they were a loving part of our family. It just was never an issue. We didn't fight about whether it was right or wrong. We didn't have an issue with when they would come over for Thanksgiving and Christmas or spend a week with us. We hugged each other. We loved each other. It was a non-issue. They were my aunt and her friend or her wife or what have you. It was never an issue. It should be the same way in schools. It's not an issue that children that are minorities go to our school. It's not an issue that a child with a head covering plays soccer in their head. It's not. Nobody cares. But it's when you bring to attention and say, oh, well, because they were now they're oppressed, and now because they have to go to school with a bunch of white people, now the oppressors are holding this person back. The child's going, when did I become oppressed? And the other children go, when did I become I love that person. She's really a good friend of mine. I don't know that. I don't care that she's Muslim. I don't care. She's a great person. So these things are being caused when you bring these issues to a place where you're saying one dominates the other, or one overpowers the other through education or rights and that kind. None of that is happening, and it really is important to understand this idea, because when we have people stand up in the school board meeting and say, these people running, which I'm going to get to in 1 minute, are Christians, and they're going to bring their God stuff to our schools. And again, Christians don't care. We are all sinners. We don't care. We don't care. We just want our kids to be educated. What we want is morals. What we want is girls coming to school without half of their ass hanging out of their shorts. What we want is kids coming to school with clothes on, not pajamas. What we want is kids coming to school and learning how to read, write, and do math, and how to think, how to process, how to critically think, how to cook. It's too bad they're not still doing how to change a tire, how to balance a checkbook. That's what's important, right? It's not like, wow, look at that girl. She's hardly wearing any clothes. Or, wow, look at that guy. He's dressed like a dog and wearing doggy ears. Why is this okay? Oh, such nonsense. All right, so I'm going to calm down. I'm going to go to the other thing. Actually, let me see if I think there might be one more picture here. Hold on. Let me put this back up. So that's the toilets. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a closer look at the side. So gender fluid, I had no idea. And so I got a little bit of an education. This actually, again, you can see that's the window of a teacher's schoolroom at Kramer Middle School, I believe. And it says someone with a gender identity that changes over time is gender fluid. Okay. Their gender doesn't change, by the way. Here's the close up of the window. Nobody's gender changes. There's the character that's in iReady. This is a character in iReady that doesn't belong in our schools. This is a definition of trans that's on a teacher's window. It could be in the library or I can't remember exactly what. Oops, sorry about that. I just took it out of view there. Yeah, I don't know. It has some explanations. Why is this on our teachers' windows? Why is that? Why do we have that going on? It makes no sense. All right, I'm going to get rid of this and bring up the cool announcement. Oh, I have a bunch of comments here I got to get to too. Hold on 1 second. Share the screen and Facebook. There we go. Okay, so Shar says hello, and then she says, "Do you know that they approved? Do you know that they approved the renewal of iReady at the school board meeting last? What? No, I heard the cost was $150,000, which was conveniently not indicated on the minutes sheet everyone is given at the meeting. No, I did not know that, Shar. $150,000 for an indoctrination online training program. The parents, the school board, I'm in shock. This is why we have to get some people voted in here. Wow. I'm just speechless. Wow. Right, I guess so, Maria. Yep, for the school year sounds like it's a yearly renewal. Wow. More of that character teaching our kids. Yeah, I did. I left before. Obviously me being there would have changed anything, but that's why I'm not aware of it. $150,000 to indoctrinate our children with a transgender character who's teaching nothing really about our kids to read. It is just it's just a bunch of horrific nonsense. They went through the motions, as I brought up in the video, the show that I did after the school meeting. Again, I didn't stay for the whole thing, but they put a whole presentation together, essentially to sell the audience on the need for iReady, by which they undercut their argument. They showed that in the mix, they had two teachers face to face with smaller groups of children, That was the power that caused the children to increase their grades, not the iReady. The iReady was a parking spot where they spent time with the transgender character in iReady did nothing for their education. We know that does nothing for their education because we have kids that tell us that it doesn't do nothing, that they can't stand it, that they hate it. We got to see it during the pandemic that all of our children, I have 5 kids that went through it, that you could see that it really does nothing. It's just it's busy work. And what they showed though was an increase, but it was because they had double the human being teachings of adults showing kids about whatever it was they were teaching. What if it had to do with punctuation or the verbs and vowels and nouns and all that kind of stuff. But that was from the 2 teachers. That 2 teachers, and an iReady was just like, okay, go over there and get busy until you come back to the human beings. And so I don't. That news just really just pisses me off. I'm glad this is not my devotional show, and my wife isn't here to. Too bad she's not here to keep me from. If she was in here, I'd be better about not using bad words. But all right. So Shar says, I thought I heard families after family requesting not to approve it. They did. Who are some of the board members listening to, if not the parents and students? There's 3 of them that do not listen. All 3 of them need to be voted out. We have 2 coming up for an election coming soon. Those of you that don't know that, and we'll be talking about one of them in just 1 minute. Yes, people spoke against it. Parents, students, and even a teacher spoke against it. Yes, didn't matter. Buck, Anderson, and Freeman. All 3 of those people need to be removed from our school, either in this election or the next. Voted for it as I expected. Yes, of course they did. Of course they did, because they're tyrants and they're miserable human beings that are incompetent at the job of being on the school board. And they have been their entire time they've been there. And we're just now finding out about it. Unfortunately, we found out a little bit too late while they were able to get some of the stuff in there. All right. So what's some of the news I want to tell you? And I want to tell you this. This really was the purpose. I probably should have began with it. So sorry, Todd Frazier, that I led with the other stuff. I just got fired up as I was reading through some of the stuff that was going on here. And I just want to make sure that this really gets noticed. And that is that Todd has been endorsed by some really important people in our county. So here, I'm just going to read from his Facebook page that says, we're proud to announce that we have received campaign endorsements from the entire, not just 1 or 2, the entire, listen to the words again, entire sitting Orange County Board of Education, trustees, and both trustees, of course, Blades and Youngblood from PYLUSD. Thank you for your support, and we can't wait to continue the work being done in our district. Sign up to help with the campaign, donate, and get updates on our page. So go to voteforfrazier.com. Let me go ahead and copy this. I'll put it in the chat. So I'm going to highlight that. Let me just put it in the chat while we're doing this. And there it is. Go to that website and help get Todd elected. Obviously, we need him because you can see why we need him, because of the stuff I've already shared with you. So let me go up to this graphic here. So the trustees at the Orange County Board of Education are Mary Barkey, Tim Shaw, Dr. Ken Williams, and Lisa Sparks. Obviously, pretty smart people. I don't know them that well, so I can't say that much about what it is that they do for Orange County education. I got to learn more. I know that I can't remember if it's Mari or Mary, but I think it's Mari Barkey. She is amazing. That I know, because I've heard all about her and I've seen her at different meetings and things like that. She's amazing. I just don't know Tim Shaw, Dr. Williams, or Lisa Sparks very well. But in this case, they made the right decision. And of course, we have Leander Blades and Sean Youngblood who endorse this man right here, which is Todd Frazier. So Todd Frazier is an awesome dude. I've gotten to know him even more as I've seen him around some of the meetings I've been to at the school board, and then privately, and some of the events we've been to together. And just cares about our children. He cares about the future of our children, cares about the school board, and he's an accountant, which is desperately needed on the school board, because we can't count on. We've already seen the people, the superintendent who's in charge of keeping the budgets and that kind of stuff, try to sell us on some stuff through a PowerPoint presentation that just didn't make sense. And so we need somebody on the school board that can call them out on, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. And with the experience that Todd has, and the integrity that he has, the love he has for our country and for our kids, and understands that the basics of education are the most important thing to address first. And then as we go into higher education, that it continues to be the type of education that only educates, only makes our kids smarter, and makes our children more prepared as they leave the school to work in our communities and abroad and other places. That is not what's happening right now. They are not being prepared for the real world. And so we need to get back to the education. And one more time, we got to make sure and look to Todd Frazier and the great endorsements that he's gotten from our Orange County's Board of Education. And make sure, oops, we got a little thing coming up. Okay, there we go. Sorry, that's my Facebook page. And then, of course, Leanna Blaze. If we could just get one more. Now we have Rich Engel, who's also running. And as soon as I get more info and graphics that I could share with you about Rich, he's awesome. He's an attorney and another person that's needed. Somebody with that type of experience, who's not incompetent, who's competent, more than competent. He's amazing. Like Todd, again, amazing. We have to get rid of the incompetence that's on the board, that people that know what they're talking about, that know these issues, especially somebody who's an attorney who can address some of the issues that involve, civil matters. And in this case, Rich Engel would be the perfect man or human or person, whatever. Since we don't know what a woman is anymore, I don't even know if I can use woman in this case. But having Rich and Todd on to at least replace two of the three people that are they don't care. They don't care what the parents want. It's not unlike some of the other stuff we're seeing in our country right now, is that they run on this idea, the ideas that they give you that we're going to do this and that and the other thing, and then they get in the office and they do something completely different and could care less what it is you think. They tell you that the parents no longer have a say in what happens in education. Parents do not have any place in telling school board members what to do, or care, or having any influence on what type of things that we decide are good or bad in our education. The parents don't have a role in that. Well, they're sadly mistaken. We do have a role, and we are going to make sure that we are heard. And they, again, just like the iReady, they just ignored us. They ignored the parents. They ignored the children who came in and testified, essentially, by going up to the podium and speaking and saying, this iReady is horrible. And they're not even allowed to go to recess if they don't get their incomplete iReady done. And especially during the period of time when they had masks on, the kids are going, wait a minute, the only time I can take this mask off is go to recess, but you're keeping me inside with a mask on in front of this transgender character that's supposed to be teaching me how to read and do math. I hate it. When you hate something, do you learn from something you hate? How many of you parents, and if you're on the fence and you're thinking, this guy Andy's crazy, and he's too fired up for me, and he sounds a little bit too strong, but it's so important that you get involved. If you get involved and see what's happening in our schools, you'll be just as angry as I am, because kids cannot learn that way. If you despise something, all of us have been kids. All of us have been in a business or worked as an employee at a place when you're under the supervision of somebody who's a tyrant of some sort. How difficult is it to go to work every day? It's hard. So if you're a child going to school and they're going to put you in front of this character and say, learn to read by going on the computer, who cares that the parents have said, hey, get off all the devices as much as possible, but get off your electronics. Don't be staring at a screen all day long. And then you go to school and they put you on a screen the entire time and then keep you from recess, so you can't have any interaction with the other children, that you have to sit in front of a screen during recess with a mask on. That you think that that's okay, and you think that me being fired up or the parents that show up being fired up is nonsense, or it's out of line? No, it is not out of line. It is what we need to do. We need to be involved. We need to speak out loud. We need to stand at the podium. I've been a little bit disappointed in the showing of parents at the school board meetings lately. I know it's summertime. I know you got to stuff, but there's nothing more important than going to the school boards and making sure that they hear what it is you have to say about the nonsense that's going on in regard to iReady, in regard to the LGBTQ stuff, in regard to oppressed or oppressor, in regard to getting rid of our actual U.S. history and bringing in some fake U.S. history, and trying to teach them that the nuclear family is horrible, and to stop listening to your parents, that police are killing minorities every day by the thousands, which is not true, and that that a certain section of our community is horrible people. That should not be going on, is not something we should allow to continue, and you need to show up in the schools. And Shar says, my kids hate, with capital letters, hate iReady. My kids do too. So let's really get behind Todd Frazier. He's got great endorsements. Go to his website, which is voteforfrazier.com. Voteforfrazier.com. Every time I do that, I want to go, down goes Frazier, down. I know somebody my age knows what that means, but maybe some of you don't. But go to voteforfrazier.com, voteforfrazier.com, and see how you can help and get him more support. Hold meetings at your home to get them voted in. And then we have, again, Rich Engel, which, again, I'll be speaking more about him too as we get more graphics and that kind of stuff, and make sure that he gets supported. All right. So I'm also having a new logo created. I'm having an intro and outro created. Which is me, I create them. It makes it sound like I have some team. No, I'm creating it, and it will be ready soon. If you, on all the shows, all the intros, all the graphics, all the things. Yeah, I don't have a team. I'm not that smart to have a team. I have to try to do it all myself. All right. So we're getting all that stuff put together. We're going to do some more. I have a phone call with somebody that's going to be possibly a guest, which is an important person in our community. So I have that meeting tomorrow. Pray for me and the meeting, that it goes well, so that we can learn more about what's happening in our community. I don't want to share the name yet, because I don't want to put something out there that may or may not happen, but just pray for the meeting to go well. And we can get that person on to give us a little bit more insight as to what's going on in our community. And that's all I can tell you. If I give you more, then you'll know who it is. All right, my friends, that is it for now. Vote for Todd, vote for Rich. Go to their website, see how you can help, whether it's putting lawn signs on, or holding meetings at your house, or whatever that might be, or even walking the area where they are going to be serving as school board members. That would be awesome. And get involved. Show up at the school board meetings. We don't need people yelling and screaming and throwing stuff and being obnoxious. We don't need that, right? I do that on my show just to get you excited. But when we get into the school board meetings, I mean, we can show our passion, but don't be crazy. There's a lot of stuff happening in the world. There's a lot of stuff happening in our country. The one thing that they're looking at is, who is it that they can investigate? Make sure if you are doing what I'm doing, or you're speaking out, that you make sure that you're as clean as possible, because they're coming after us. You just know they are. They're going to be coming after. And listen, I try to make this as nonpartisan as possible. I know that it doesn't sound that way, but I'm telling you that I'm talking about parents. You notice that I didn't necessarily say anything about Republicans or conservatives or Christian conservatives or anything like that, because right now I can tell you for sure, there's a small, again, you may think that it's everybody. The media makes it sound like everybody supports these crazy left, weird nonsense, but they're coming after conservatives, Republicans. They're coming after Christians. They're coming after libertarians, and they're coming after Democrats who are moderate or above. Everything below moderate, they'll leave them alone. The lunatics they're fine. The lunatics are coming after everybody. If you have a Democrat and you think a Democrat in your, whatever, a D behind your name, or if you're a Democrat when you vote, don't think you're safe. Because if you're moderate, I've met a bunch of Democrats who say, you know what? I didn't vote for President Trump, but I don't like what's going on. I don't like the direction of my party. I don't support, all this other nonsense. But I'm still a Democrat. Right. If you believe that way, they're coming after you too. They're going to cancel you too. So I'm just telling you, it doesn't matter. If you're a parent and care about what's happening with children, show up at school board meetings. If you are in the community, you should also show up at school board meetings, but you need to show up at the chamber, the city council. Sorry, the city council meetings. You need to join us. Sometimes we'll be there at Imperial Highway and Yorba Linda Boulevard, and we'll be holding signs and saying, let's vote for a particular person and that kind of stuff. You need to show up to that stuff. And be there for your community and share with people and talk out loud. The days of staying quiet, and I know I said this in the last show, but I'm just telling you this, the days of staying quiet are gone. It's over. Don't be afraid on your Zoom calls in your business to have an American flag or, show it as who you support, even though you think it's going to be controversial, because you're going to get fired anyway. They're gonna get rid of you, and the days of being quiet and not speaking out are over, because it has done you no good, right? The problem still came. The issues are still at hand, even though you stayed quiet. So why stay quiet any longer? Speak out and be involved and show up at the school board meetings and be there. But again, Todd Frazier, go to voteforfrazier.com, voteforfrazier.com. Rich Engel, don't know his website yet, but I'm sure it'll be something very similar. And let's get these two men over the finish line. And then again, I'm still looking for infield reporters or people to do a show about the areas of Fullerton, Brea, and Placentia that I don't know that much about, where you can talk about what's happening in those areas and where you need support and assistance, whether it's with city council members in those cities that want school choice and some of these other things that are important, and also are interested in getting rid of some of these things that are happening, not only in our schools, but in our communities, whether it's the rezoning issues and that kind of stuff, which apparently that's done, but maybe we can still find a way to fight against it. All right, my friends, that is it. No intro, no outro. I'm just going to end the broadcast. So have a great Sunday evening, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Talk to you later. Bye.